and make sure we all learn something from this. And so that's when I started writing books. And the first one, this one, is about effects on people of oil. Oil impacts on people and oil impacts on ecosystems. Sick people, sick wildlife, maybe oil's a problem, right? And hey, Jesse, I'm really sorry to ask you this, but I forgot the other books. I think they're still in the car, on the dashboard of the car. Maybe your dad's over there, maybe he's got that. Not that I'm trying to, okay, let me back up and say I'm not selling books. I just want to show you what's available to you. This book, which I'll be giving you information from, I am actually giving away, okay, by the pallet. And there are communities that are ordering 800 of these books. It's like $500 for shipping. I mean, I'm literally giving them away. This is a resource for you all. And then I'll talk about the other ones. The other one is not one drop, and it's about the mental health trauma that I want to talk a little bit about too. Because this is something that I was never trained for. I was, trained about oil is poison. I wasn't trained about how much oil spills hurt people and communities. And as a result of not knowing any of this, we made a lot of mistakes in Alaska, and that we didn't necessarily need to. Because when all these people flooded into our communities, okay, you have a spill. You're just beginning to get the tip of the iceberg. If the oil really hits your beaches, there's going to be tons of lawyers. There's going to be tons of scientists. There's going to be tons of oil people, federal and state people. Who knows what? I mean, how do you, and the national environmental groups, let's not forget them. So, I mean, it's like a big pile-on. And I mean, our little community is 2,500 people. And we were just like, whoa. So, who do you trust? How do you deal with all these people? What are you in for? That's kind of why I came down. And on May 3rd, I actually hid from the media for a week because I have these books, I have this film. This film was made by a Canadian film company, completely independent. I'm just in it, right? But when I say I have it, it's a resource for you all. It's an hour and a half, and you can understand what you're going to be in for. So suddenly the media descended on me, and I just hid. I was like, okay, I can't go through this again. I just can't do it. And then after a week, I started thinking about, not about me, but about you all. And how you all would probably make the same mistakes we did if somebody didn't come down and share what we learned. And so I thought, I have to come down for the people. And so on May 3rd, I booked a one-way ticket without knowing a single soul. And I just flew to New Orleans with Lisa Marie, who also is a spill survivor. And we work together. She's my assistant, but we really work together. And we went down to Venice because May 3rd, I mean, it was still all the action was down in Louisiana pretty much. And the hotel we were staying at, I just started talking to the staff, and they were fishermen. It was a fisherman's wife. And within like 4 hours, she had took the phone book and called people, and we had a fisherman's meeting at the Riverside Cafe. And because of the result of that meeting, that was the Louisiana Shrimp Association, I've been networked across the Gulf from that one initial meeting. And after 3 weeks, I tried to make it back home for the summer. I got as far as Seattle. I was calling my friends saying, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. And they all said, why? They need you down there. So I turned around and came back. Okay? So, and what I'm doing, and we're going to pass these around, and please at least put, these are from the meeting that we just had, but on the back, if we run out of paper, we'll get more, your name and your email address. Because what I'm doing in community after community is having a key, I call it key liaison, key community liaison. So it's Julie, who must still be hung up outside at the moment. It's a volunteer who steps forward to take the information, create a database, so you have your own way of contacting each other and sharing information. This is really important. Okay, so I'm going to pass one, just so, and you got to write legibly. That's the main thing. Okay, so just email and phone number if you want to, get connected to Kathy. This is where Kathy Viren.
I'm already.
Yeah, you might have signed at the other place. All right, so here's what happened to us. Okay, this is sort of the short of it. Exxon, okay, boom, big oil spill. We only had 3 days from when it was in the middle of the Prince William Sound to all over our beaches. 3 days, not enough time for anything, to prepare. And 4 days after, Exxon came into our community, and a community representative stood up, an Exxon spokesperson, and said, we will make you whole. If your nets don't fill up, if your motels go out of business, bring us your claims. We will pay for all reasonable claims. And we believed him. And that was a big mistake. We didn't know that the word reasonable meant we'll see you in court. And BP has said, I was standing in the Orange Beach community when the BP representative who was pulled out of retirement, okay, to come talk to the nice people of Orange Beach. And he said, we will make you whole. And I'm just like, I got goosebumps. And then he said, we will pay for all legitimate claims. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the BP guy saying legitimate. That's a one-way ticket to court. I mean, it's the court, it's the jury who gets to decide what's a legitimate claim. Now, okay, so I'm going to hop back and forth, Exxon to here. You have the Oil Pollution Act. We didn't have that. That came as a result of our spill, okay? So we had to duke it out in court for 20 years. The court experience, number one, created its own emotional trauma to the point where we had a second helping of post-traumatic stress disorder. So not only did we have the first helping, oh, I got to explain about this. We became, our community, Cordova, became a case study in disaster trauma. And we are the longest ongoing study of disaster trauma anywhere on the planet right now. What this did to our psyches, and so what breaks and how you heal from it. So we had 99% increase in post-traumatic stress disorder, 99% increase in depression, 90% increase in general anxiety disorder. And then we made the mistake of believing Exxon when they said, we will make you whole. So we wasted 4 years waiting for Exxon to make us whole. And Exxon, we didn't even go to court until 1994, okay? But what happened in 1993 was our fish runs collapsed. And that was when we realized that we had the power to make ourselves whole. And there was no point in waiting for Exxon, the federal government, the state. It's like, how many of you were at that meeting that was just down the road? Okay, so there was a little bit of good news there, where the sheriff said, we are having a plan B. That is what you all need to have. You all need to have a plan B. Because getting together, it turns out, say the sociologists who studied us, and also what we felt in Cordova, after our fish runs collapsed, we all came together as a community and said, okay, what are we going to do? You know, let's do it ourselves. And so a group of people went off to deal with the disaster trauma, the mental health effects, which, you know, when your income goes to 10% 4 years later, and Exxon saying it's not our problem, and you haven't even been to court yet, you have no idea what this does to families. I mean, financial distress just tears people apart. And you start acting in ways that you normally wouldn't. So we had horrible spikes in domestic violence, substance abuse, divorces, suicides, and nobody to help. And so we had a group of people that said, that's what we want to focus on. Started a nonprofit to focus on that. Helped start a nonprofit organization to deal with economic diversification. If we don't have our fishing, what the heck are we going to do? We're a fishing community. What are our options? So we called ourselves economic activists. We put our heads together on that. And we basically wanted to create an economy that matched our values. So that's the story that's told in my second book, Not One Drop, how we did all that. But basically we didn't just want any industry to bring in money. We wanted industries that would match our values as a commercial fishing town. So we didn't want to invite in industry that we'd be fighting with, like there were plans to clear-cut log. Well, clear-cut logging takes away the protection of our, one road would have had to cross 183 salmon spawning streams. And we just went, you know, that's trouble. If we bring in that industry, you know, our ultimate vision is to rebuild our commercial fishing industry. So we're going to figure out a way to bring in